The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Now, back to your turn on 1330 WEBY, Northwest Florida's talk radio. The phone lines are open, so call in and join the conversation at 623-1330.
Aren't you glad that you patiently waited? Carl is back. He is in the Oval Office of Gulf Coast Talk Radio, and you are with him. Freedom Friday with Carl Gallops.
All right, welcome back, Gulf Coast, welcome back, America. Dr. Grace is on the line with us, and we've got a bank full of callers on the line, Dr. Grace, so we're going to take them. The first one is a listener named Carol. Carol, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. You wanted to talk to Dr. Grace about amnesty, correct?
Yes, it's going to be a big issue because I've been doing a lot of it, reading with Glenn Beck, and he said a Trojan horse, and now I know what he's talking about because I did research, and Congress used Resolution 520 on McCain. I mean, they took him apart.
Yeah.
And also, Obama is pushing amnesty to keep him from being impeached and get anything out.
Well,
that's the Trojan horse. He wants to get this pushed through so nobody can use anything against him, including everything he knows that you already have.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Carol. Dr. Grace, do you want to address that?
Well, you see, we definitely know that they want to push through amnesty in order to give the Democratic Party a long-term voting base because Hispanics tend to vote Democratic.
Right.
So we definitely know that. What we don't know 100% for sure is this. Lieutenant Zullo doesn't know for sure whether or not the president was born anywhere other than in the United States.
Right.
Right. All he knows is that the certificate that was presented is a fake and a forgery.
That's correct.
But all of the officials in Hawaii seem to be alluding to some kind of documentation that exists in the Hawaii archives.
Right.
What we need to find out is what is that documentation.
Right.
So that's as far as I'm willing to go, because what the caller is suggesting is that the president wants to grant amnesty because he himself is an illegal,
right.
So he'll make himself legal.
Right. And you know what? I've read a lot about that on the internet.
A lot of people. It's a really interesting theory.
Yeah, a lot of people
because you see we have a precedent for this in this regard, Carol. I just want to say this.
Okay.
In Syria, it looks like the government was arming the rebels.
Yeah.
Before it was sanctioned by the government.
Right.
It looks like the administration, the administration was arming the rebels before it has been sanctioned by the government. So the ploy to try to get the government to give arms to the rebels is a way of trying to give legal sanction to what was already done.
Right, right.
So it's the way that this administration operates.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, well, thanks. Listen, R.C., thank you so much for being a part of the show today, and I know that you said that you wanted to take me up on my challenge to Obama's legality. And I may have to have you back on if we run out of time. We've only got a few minutes, but if you'll make your case very quickly, I'll try to respond to it. Dr. Grace and I will.
Well, first, I challenge you to come on to my show where you'd have an uninterrupted 2 hours instead of all these commercials to debate this issue because 30 seconds obviously isn't enough. But the idea that President Obama...
Listen, RC, I just put you on hold. You're going to have to get to your point and ask the question rather than trashing me and my show, or I'm just going to hang up on you. So I'm going to give you one more shot. Put your evidence out there. Put up or shut up.
President Obama has presented 2 perfectly valid birth certificates. The evidence, quote unquote, that Mike Zullo has presented is nonsense.
Okay, all right. I'm going to stop right there because you were getting ready to say it's nonsense. No, the birth certificates, RC, are not perfectly valid, and I'm going to let Dr. Grace speak to this. Mike Zullo is holding 300 pages of verifiable courtroom-ready evidence to show that they are not verifiable. By the way, neither are his Selective Service records. Okay, so you don't know what you're talking about. You're obviously so far behind the curve. No wonder nobody listens to your show. Dr. Grace, what do you want to say?
Do you have forensic evidence backing up your claim?
I put him on hold because I just lose patience.
Because, essentially, this is going to come down to a battle of experts.
Yeah, he doesn't have evidence to back his claim. The first thing he said was, but he's presented 2 birth certificates, and Mike Zullo's evidence is ridiculous. So that shows you he doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. And he wonders why nobody listens to his show. Go ahead, Dr. Grace.
Well, like I was saying, I was going to ask him in detail because ultimately, I want to ask him, okay, do you think Reed Hayes is lying?
Yeah.
Do you think Mara Zabest is lying? What do you make of the fact that you have nationally renowned experts who are testifying in a court of law.
That's right.
Should the president haul them up on perjury charges? And you just have to ask very specific questions. Is the document a 9-layer PDF?
Right.
It is.
Right.
Lieutenant Zullo has shown us that it is. Do you have evidence to show us that it's not a 9-layer PDF?
Right. Yeah.
So is your birth certificate a 9-layer PDF, Carl?
Right. Yeah, no, it's not.
No,
and
I'm going to ask that caller. Is yours why is the president's birth certificate a 9-layer PDF?
Right.
Why is there's so many things that are incongruent? There's a listing on it that he cited as African American when that term was not used at the time that he was born.
Right.
That's the historical incongruency that Lieutenant Zullo has pointed out.
Right.
There are typewriters that are used on that certificate that are incongruent with what was used at the time. I mean, all of this is forensics.
Exactly.
It's not my opinion. I want to say this. I am not qualified in forensics.
Yeah.
But we have qualified experts now who are saying it. So unless the caller has his body of forensic experts to dispute it, our evidence stands.
Yeah, he doesn't. And thank you for that beautiful analysis, Dr. Grace. We've got to go. What R.C. was doing, first of all, he wouldn't even use his name. Second of all, he was touting his own show. Thirdly, he started name-calling. I mean, this is so typical. And then fourthly, just made a blanket statement, as you just so beautifully demonstrated. He has no evidence to back it up. So thank you, Dr. Grace. Listen, you'll be back with us next Friday?
I sure will.
And your show is tomorrow. Okay, I'm sorry. Dr. Grace's show is tomorrow, and we'll get a link to that at carlgallis.com and PP Simmons. You don't want to miss Dr. Grace's show tomorrow as she debuts, and we'll have her back next Friday.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.